Jarrod Edge, and if you don't know me, I'm blessed to be here, and I'm happy that you're here. And I'm going to try to not only inform you about CLR inside of your SQL Server environment, I'm going to try to make it entertaining so that you don't fall asleep while I'm doing it. That's okay. Is that okay with you? All right. All right. So I have a lot to go through. So if you have questions and you want to interject one, that's fine. And like he has one right now. But I have a lot to give you, so try to hold most of them to the end if you can. Yes? I'm going to shut that door. I was just giving him time to actually leave out of the door.
Just about there.
He's almost there. We like you being here. It's not that we want you to leave.
All right.
All right. So here's a little bit about me and our company. I live here in Jacksonville. I do a lot of work with our partner out in Des Moines. And I'm only telling you that because if I look a little bit tired, it's because I am tired. Our flight got into Orlando really late last night, and it was like 3 o'clock before I got home, and then the alarm went off this morning. I was like, that cannot be the alarm.
Did you say Des Moines?
You know? Yeah.
Des Moines, Iowa?
Des Moines, Iowa.
My son lives there. Just
See?
how about that?
Small. All right, so I'm the general manager at SQL Edge Corporate Training. We are located in Jacksonville. In fact, we're actually moving today from Orange Park to Jacksonville. So if you've taken class with us before in Orange Park, you don't want to drive there next time you come to class. Maybe go to Jacksonville or the Bay Meadows area. I'm also the lead instructor at Ministry Training out in Des Moines, Iowa. That's my email address. I'll put it up again at the end if you need it. And that's our blog. I'll put that up again at the end if you need it. And then we also, you know that thing called Twitter? You guys ever seen Twitter?
No, never heard.
I just found out about that, man. So anyway, we're on Twitter and Facebook and all those things too if you want to hit us. I need to know real quick, how many of you are developers? Okay, great. And how many of you are like SQL administrators? Okay, a few. All right, I'm going to try to talk about this from both points. Obviously, there's two sides of the picture. When you're dealing with SQL Server, there's people who actually are going to do some development for you. And if they're developers, they can make wonderful, awesome things happen for you inside of SQL Server. And if you haven't seen this before, or if you just kind of wondered about it, there's some good stuff here, really good stuff. I'm on a mission. My mission is to go around the whole country and tell every single person about how cool you can make your SQL Server just by adding some CLR code and paying a developer to do it, preferably us. All right, so this is where we're going. We're going to kind of look at CLR, but I don't need to spend too much time there because I think most of you are .NET developers and you probably know something about CLR, so I can kind of scoot through there. And then we'll look at why do you want to do this, who needs to do this, you know, what's it about, can you give me the whole gist of the CLR thing inside of SQL Server and what it can do for me. We'll go there. Then we'll look at understanding how the code works, do some examples, things like that. We'll take it from the developer's view, and then I'll kind of finish up at the end with the administrator's view. Now, there's a problem out there in the world. The problem is this is a SQL Server thing. You with me? No, that's not the problem in itself, but this is a SQL Server thing, which SQL Server is mainly controlled by those 3 people that raised their hand in this classroom, and the administrators. And the power of this, what we're going to talk about, comes from the developer. You with me? So the developers on one side don't really get informed about it because Microsoft doesn't come to you and say, dude, you should be doing CLR, it's the coolest thing in the world. They leave that to me. And then you have the administrators who are like, I have to write code for that? I'm not doing that. You see what I mean? And so there's a little separation in the middle, and my job is to tell you how wonderful this thing is and to give you some ideas of where you could actually start implementing it for yourself. So, I can kind of skip some of this stuff, but I'll just in brief go over it for the administrators who might be in here. Okay, we have this thing called the .NET frameworks. Anyone ever heard of that? Oh, yeah, okay. All right, so, you know, you can describe it any way you want, but in short, we'll just say that it's a platform, or it's everything you need in order to make an enterprise application, you know, something like that. We'll give it one of those definitions. Does that work for everybody? Okay, I don't need to go any further in there? Excellent, okay? The most important thing about the framework for us is that it has all these class libraries in it. It has all this really cool stuff that I am familiar with as a developer because I've been doing C# or VB.NET or Iron Python or Iron Ruby and all those things for a while. So I'm familiar with it, I know it, I can do some things there. And then when I get over to SQL Server, you know, and I'm like, you got to write this query here, you have to really solve this problem for me, I'm a little bit limited by this other language over there called TSQL. Anybody ever had that problem? Okay? Oh man, if I could just, have you ever sat there and said, if I could just do that in VB.NET, or if I could just do that in C#, I'd be done in a minute. You ever had that little thing? This is it for you. Okay, this is where you want to live at. All right, so the tools we're going to use, Visual Studio. and SQL Server. So I have those loaded up on my machine. We're going to take a look at those. All right, so what? What does the framework offer me and my SQL Server environment? That's a good question. Okay, it's like saying, hey SQL Server, since 2005, you've been on the framework. That thing we call the framework, you've been included. You know, we totally redesigned you, put you in the 2.0 framework, and guess what you have inside of you? You can run CLR code. In fact, you're doing it, and no one told us about it. You know, they introduced some new data types and things like that, like the XML data type. Anyone ever seen the XML data type inside SQL Server? Did you know that's a CLR type? Oh my God, it's just sitting out there. And if you've used it, it has a whole bunch of extra functionality, things that the other data types just don't even know about. You with me? The hierarchy ID, you ever seen that little guy? He's a little weird guy, but yeah, he's a good data type too. He's a CLR data type. So there's some things that have been in there. What does it do for me? It increases the capabilities of what I can do inside of SQL Server. Here's what I want to be able to do. I want to be able to make my SQL Server the most powerful SQL Server on the planet. I want it to do exactly what I want it to do, not what they designed it to do. Are you with me on that? Okay, that's our goal. So that's what it's going to offer for me. So what about this CLR thing? Okay, well, I mean, you guys are developers, so you know this is common language runtime. And for those who are not developers, we're going to teach you how to be a developer right now. Okay? If someone gives you some words and says, what does this mean? Like, hey, what is the common language runtime? Your job is to take those same words, rearrange them, and give them back to the person. You with me? So what is a CLR? What is the common language runtime? It's a runtime that's common to all the languages. Boom, done. Okay, how many languages are there in the .NET framework? Oh, about 30 or 40. How many are there really? Well, about 30 or 40. Okay, but how many are we actually using? Oh, maybe 6 or 7. Okay, so what does the common language runtime do for you? Just a couple of preliminary things, we'll get those out of the way. What does the common language runtime do for you? Anybody can answer that question? Good answer, good answer. Okay, so it manages memory for you. Excellent. That means there's that garbage collector. You guys like the garbage collector? Okay. Now, if you really like the garbage collector, you guys will be out there every Monday morning or Wednesday morning waiting for your garbage guy to come by and you'd say, dude, I really like you.
I don't really appreciate the .NET garbage.
But you should. It's a beautiful thing. It does work that you don't have to do, even though it's a little quirky. Okay, I'm with you on that. Don't get me wrong. It handles your code security. It makes your code safe, or it's supposed to. Okay, any good runtime should execute your code. Any good runtime should help you with the compilation of your code or be able to interpret your code. Any good runtime should allow for versioning and all those different things. The common language runtime does all that stuff for you. That's what it is. Okay, we're all good on that, right? Okay, excellent. We can move forward. Okay, why CLR? Okay, well, I mean, why would I want to use this? Because I'm a developer. I was built and grown by Microsoft. You know what I mean? They watered me every day with this beautiful theory of .NET and how I could write C# code in VB.NET and how I could finally use curly braces if I was coming from .NET. So I have all these things in me, and I want to be able to apply some of that inside of this other tool that uses the CLR. Okay, SQL Server. I can do that. That's going to be awesome stuff. So think about all that complex logic. Anyone ever done a cursor inside of SQL Server? Maybe it was fun, maybe it wasn't. Okay? Probably wasn't. Okay? Anyone ever had performance problems with your cursors? Okay? If you built one, you had performance problems with it. Simple as that. Okay? And the logic that was inside of there, did you look at it and say, man, if I could just do that in .NET, I'd be finished in like 20 minutes. I'd be good to go. Okay? So I have this complex logic. I could go and retool. I have all these complex calculations that I want to be able to do. I could do that in the .NET framework if I needed to. That object-oriented functionality is going to provide that for me so I can think in the same way that I think when I'm doing all my .NET code. Okay? I can leverage the entire .NET framework's class library. That's where it gets good for me. Okay? Because there's a lot here we can do. Well, actually, there's only 5 things, but there's a lot of things we could do. And out of those lot of things that we could do, I bet that the first things that you start doing with CLR is going and finding functions that you like inside of the .NET framework and applying those into SQL Server. Okay? I bet that's where you go, because that's where I went. Okay? And I thought, wow, I'm going to make this thing really handy. So I can leverage all these beautiful things like cryptography or file access, string manipulation. I mean, how's the string manipulation over in T-SQL for you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not saying anything bad about T-SQL. I love data. You know, on Saturday morning, what do you do when you get up on Saturday morning with your kids? You go watch cartoons? My kids, we go to the office, we move some data. I mean, I love data. You know, T-SQL, it's awesome. But if I can make it better, that's what I want to do. I want to help it out. So administrators, why would you use this CLR stuff? Because somebody made you do it. You know, they came to you and said, hey, these developers are just put out this new application, the database is going to drive, you know, and they want to put this CLR stuff in there. You're like, whoa, I don't know what's in that code. Okay, so what we need to show you is that we need to show you that this is going to be a safe thing for you. Okay, that it's going to be okay to have the CLR code in there, and that you're not going to have to do too much along with it. That's what we're going to have. That's what we're going to have to do for you. Okay, so you need to know how to actually make it work, because we can improve your performance over in your SQL Server. Now, I know that some DBAs aren't really worried about performance. It's just I need to make sure the files are still there tomorrow. You know, those types of things. But some DBAs are really concerned because you don't like that phone call when they call you and say, hey, this is running really slow. Right? Because they're always blaming it on you. Is that right? DBA? Yes, it's your fault. What did you do to the server? Okay?